London. Prime Minister Keir Starmer laid out his plan for a new digital ID card for every UK adult, framing it as part of a broader vision for what he called patriotic renewal, and insisting that politics must deliver real change for working people. Speaking at a packed London forum of global centre-left leaders, Starmer opened by thanking organisers and attendees for what he described as a gathering of people bound by a common cause, the patriotic renewal of our nations, underpinned by the values of dignity and respect, equality and fairness. He pushed back against the idea that progressive politics was in retreat, pointing to recent electoral victories by left-of-centre parties worldwide. Starmer said, "I don't accept that argument that somehow our politics is dying out. But I do accept that it is now time for Social Democrats to confront directly some of the challenges and some of the lies that have taken root in our societies." The Prime Minister painted a vivid contrast between what he called an industrialised infrastructure of grievance, narratives that portray cities and nations as chaotic or decaying, and the reality he sees on the ground. Referring to London, he said visitors would find not the wasteland of anarchy that some would have you believe, but a vibrant, functioning city. He warned that such narratives are not accidental. They want politics to be a choice between globalists and nationalists, a dividing line between the elites and the people in which somehow our rich story of patriotism and pride is claimed by those who have nothing in common with them or their values, only a cynical intent to exploit their fears to benefit themselves, he said. Starmer argued that progressives must reject defending a status quo that hasn't worked for working people and instead fight for patriotic renewal rooted in our own national stories, restoring pride where people live and work, decency, tolerance, respect. He outlined his view that nation building requires both pride and practical delivery. The nation state, harnessing the potential of the whole country, providing security and opportunity for working people, must respond to a world that is more dangerous, less secure than many of us have known in our lifetimes, he said. Starmer stressed that alliances and international cooperation remain essential. The global order, he argued, depends on the coalition of the willing strong, not just because of the depth of our shared beliefs, but because we recognise that the security and safety of the people that we serve depends on our relationships and are not being cowed by tyranny. Turning to the economy, he said working-class communities had too often been left behind. They don't want handouts or help. They want to stand on their own feet, he told the audience. As an example, he highlighted a domestic initiative announced the previous day, £5 billion in funding to be directed by local communities. The important thing is not coming cap in hand to Whitehall, but actually allowing control to be with the communities where the funding is going so they can choose what it's spent on, because those with skin in the game know what's best for their communities, he said. Starmer pledged to pair investment in defence, energy and manufacturing with fiscal prudence and a willingness to remove obstacles to growth. It does also mean stripping out regulations so we can build more and build more quickly, and the private sector can create wealth in every community, he added. He framed the moment as a defining political choice. A politics of predatory grievance preying on the problems of working people against the politics of patriotic renewal rooted in communities, building a better country brick by brick from the bottom up. Starmer rejected the idea that national pride and inclusion are in conflict. We must fight for them, stand up to those who tell us that there's a tension between our symbols of pride and symbols of inclusion, our multi-ethnic modern nation and our history and heritage. They are one and the same thing, he declared. The Prime Minister argued that renewal must go beyond managerial fixes. Poor delivery is a threat to mainstream politics, he said, stressing that governments must prove they act in the interests of ordinary people. Addressing immigration, he admitted mainstream parties had sometimes shied away from voters' concerns. For too many years, it's been too easy for people to come here, slip into the shadow economy, and remain here illegally. Every nation needs to have control over its borders. We do need to know who is in our country, Starmer said. In a headline announcement, he revealed a new national policy. Today, I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Starmer framed the move as both practical and fair. Decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people want us to tackle the issues that they see around them, he said. The Prime Minister also linked domestic priorities to global challenges, highlighting the war in Ukraine. We all have a responsibility for the future of our continent to stand tall where oppression and violence rear its head, he said, adding that dependence on imported fossil fuels left nations vulnerable. That's why we're investing in our own energy, because Putin and other tyrants have used their control over energy supplies as a threat. Our mission to become a clean energy superpower is about future-proofing energy supply, bringing energy bills down, and protecting the planet. Starmer presented his agenda as both patriotic and forward-looking. In this era, we must be the nation builders. We must be the patriots in our countries. We must show working people that we, and only we, can deliver the pride and belonging they seek, tackling the big challenges, whether that's climate change or illegal migration, not shying away from them. That is how we win. That is how we rebuild. That's how renewal defeats grievance, he concluded. The audience responded with applause as Starmer thanked them for attending and invited the next panellists to join him on stage.